Heyo!
Welcome back.
What's poppin', y'all? It's your boy Jeremy
And your boy Jake.
back for another episode of
Beren,
Boys.
Bekius.
Beren, boys, Bekius. You know the vibes. We're back, baby.
And we're here for
Yom
sure.
Ha'atzmaut, the homeland. Happy birthday, Israel. Housing my family, housing his sister, housing Am Yisrael. You know the vibes.
And us next year.
And us next year, Yeshivat HaKotel.
Shivat Lev HaTorah.
Woo!
Let's do
You
it.
know it, baby. Parshiot, Tazria, and Metzorah. It's a
Double
two-timer,
parsha.
baby.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Double parsha. And let's get right into it, baby. Parshiot, Tazria, Metzorah, Beren, bois, Bekius, parsha, sports, musser. Let's get it.
All right. So these parshas continue the discussion of the laws of Tuma and Tahara,
Oh.
purity and impurity.
Right. Don't worry. We're not going to get into it again. Right.
They're not
So
fun.
we begin with the process of a woman giving birth and the purification associated with that process, which includes immersing oneself into a mikveh. Shout out to all those moms out there.
Yes, sir. My mom, your mom.
Yeah.
Then we get into the laws of Brit Milah. After 8 days.
8 are the days of the Brit Milah, and
Right.
7 are the days of the week.
After 8 days, a boy gets snipped, and we'll get past
Well,
right back.
yeah, well, shout out to all those boys out there. Yes, sir. So
My
then
dad
we,
and your dad.
right, all the boys. So we get then into Tzara'at, the supernatural plague which afflicts people when they speak lashon hara. Right, it afflicts people as well as garments and even their homes.
And a person afflicted with this tzarat must dwell outside the camp until they're healed, and the affected area or a garment is moved to the side, or it must be removed from the home.
This
or
is
the
essentially a spiritual timeout. You're put in the corner of God, essentially.
Right.
So once that person with Tzara is purified by the Kohen with a special procedure, this procedure, by the way, involves 2 birds, spring water in an earthen vessel, a piece of cedar wood, scarlet thread, and a bundle of greens.
all the essentials.
Don't
all
forget
of
the
them.
bundle of greens, okay?
All of the essentials.
All of the essentials.
And the parsha concludes with the laws regarding purification through immersion in a mikvah.
Right. And that just about wraps up these Parshiot. All right, moving from the spiritual playing field to the actual playing field, we get to the sports segment of the Beren Boys Bekius podcast, keeping you guys in the loop on just the sports happening this week. In case you find yourself in a sports schmooze, we got you covered.
Begin.
Okay, so the first note of the week, Julian Edelman is retiring, a big mouthpiece in the Jewish sports world. Julian Edelman, shout out to him, Am Yisrael Chai.
Shout
He's
out.
officially calling it quits after his incredible career.
Hideki Matsuyama wins the Masters. He's the first Japanese-born player to win the Masters.
Wow. Alex Rodriguez is buying the Minnesota Timberwolves, another accolade on his shelf.
And lastly, in the NFL, James Conner signs with the Cardinals, and Jadeveon Clowney to the Browns. Browns defense about to go
Stacked.
ham.
Underrated Super Bowl pick, Cleveland Browns.
Potentially.
Cleveland
Unless
Browns.
they do what they do every
You heard it
year.
here first. You heard it here first. Cleveland Browns, Super Bowl champs. Now, on to the last segment of the Beren Boys Bekius podcast, the Musser, a little Dvar Torah from us to you guys. Some nice ideas to share at your Shabbos table this week.
All right, we got you. This comes from our Rabbi Block.
Shout out Rabbi Block.
So let's get right into it. In this week's Parsha, it goes in depth into the punishments for speaking Lashon Hara, which is tzarat.
Tarat.
Now, when you go into the word, when you actually look at the etymology of the word, you have tsar et, which the literal translation means narrow and time.
Right, a compound word hidden in the word tzarat, tsar, and et, narrow time. Now, narrow time, what does this even mean? So, people these days, especially these days, are so quick to see a little snapshot of a human being and judge their entire character based on that little snapshot. And what happens is they see that little bit of a person, make a whole judgment, and start speaking lashon hara about that person based on that narrow period of time that they saw them, right? And so tzarat is showing us that this is the problem with lashon hara. The problem with speaking of lashon hara is that you're not taking the time to speak to a person, get to know them and their grandparents and their hobbies, or get to know their character, but you're taking a little snapshot of a human being and basing your entire opinion, your entire lashon hara off that little narrow time.
If you saw their entire character and you saw everything they do, all the good things they do, and also their struggles, you would never judge
Right.
that person in their narrow time.
And it's even more so powerful that tzara'at is something that affects the surface of your skin. Why? Because that's exactly what Lashon Hara is. It's a surface opinion, right? The person who spoke Lashon Hara has to now feel what it's like to be judged based on the things on their surface. They don't get time to explain, no, I'm a good person, I promise. All you see is the tzara'at. You see the surface of them, and they're judged and kicked out of the Israeli camp based on their surface. A total midah keneged midah, showing them how it feels to be judged based on a little narrow time, a tsar et, of your character.
Right, so as we go into this Shabbos, make sure to not judge people in their narrow time and instead look at their whole character, and then you wouldn't be so quick to judge.
Yes, sir. Don't judge a book by its cover. Look at a person's entire character. Shout out Rabbi Block. And until next week, peace.